Hey everyone. So, India's e-commerce scene is absolutely exploding right now, and that means there's a huge opportunity for anyone with a good idea. But let's be real, with that opportunity comes some serious competition. So how do you actually break through all that noise? Well, today, we're going to lay out the exact roadmap for you, a step-by-step guide to launching a successful e-commerce business in India in 2025. Let's dive in.
Just look at this number for a second. The Indian e-commerce market is on track to hit $350 billion by 2030. I mean, that is a massive pie, right? But seeing the size of the pie is easy. The real question is, how do you get your slice?
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's one thing to see the potential, but it's a whole other ballgame to actually build a business from the ground up that stands out and, actually succeeds. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Break down the entire process into a simple, actionable plan.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about the blueprint, finding your perfect niche. Then we'll dive into the foundation, making sure you get all the legal stuff right. After that, we'll figure out your storefront, choosing where you're going to sell. Then we'll cover the really crucial stuff, money and mindset for long-term growth. And finally, we'll talk about taking that all-important first step.
All right, let's kick things off with finding your winning niche. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the most critical step of the entire journey. It sounds a little backward, but the secret to thinking big in e-commerce is almost always to start incredibly small and super specific.
Just take a look at this. Trying to sell fashion online? Good luck. You're up against, well, literally everyone. It's a bloodbath. But what about handmade wedding bow ties for dogs? Bam! All of a sudden, you're not just selling another product. You're solving a very specific problem for a really passionate group of people. That is how you stand out.
Okay, so how do you actually find a niche like that and know it's a winner? It's actually a pretty simple three-step process. First, go find a problem. Seriously, scour places like Reddit, Quora, and especially negative product reviews. People will tell you exactly what they hate about existing products. Second, check the demand with Google Trends. Is interest growing or is it a dying fad? And third, analyze the winners on places like Amazon. And don't be scared if you see competition. That's a good thing. It's proof that people are already spending money there.
Okay, next up, building the foundation. Once you've got your brilliant idea, you've got to make it official. Look, this might not be the most exciting part of the process, but trust me, getting these legal details right from the very beginning is absolutely essential. Oh man, this happens so much more often than you think. You come up with a perfect name for your brand. Your family loves it, your friends think it's brilliant. And then you go to register it, and you find out it's already trademarked. And just like that, one simple mistake can completely derail you before you've even started.
So how do you avoid that nightmare? You've got to check first. And honestly, it's way easier than you think. You just go to the official government trademark search portal, find the class number for your type of product, and then search your name. If nothing pops up, you are probably good to go. It's a 5-minute check that can literally save you months of headaches.
All right, here's your quick legal checklist. 3 things you absolutely have to do. First, pick a business structure. For most people starting out, a sole proprietorship is the simplest way to go. Next, and this is a big one, you must get a GST registration. This is mandatory for every single e-commerce seller in India. It doesn't matter what your revenue is. And finally, open a separate business bank account. Do not mix your personal and business finances. It's a recipe for disaster.
Okay, so you're all legal, you're official. Now, where do you actually set up shop? For most new sellers in India, this really boils down to 2 giants, Amazon and Flipkart. And this isn't just about which one you like more. This has to be a strategic decision based on your product, your business model, and especially your cash flow.
So let's really get into the nitty-gritty here. If you're selling low-cost items under 300 rupees, Amazon's zero referral fee is a huge win. But then you look at the payment cycle. Flipkart pays you in about 7 days. Amazon takes around 21. For a brand new startup, that faster cash flow, man, that can be an absolute lifesaver. Plus, Flipkart's advertise now, pay later model is a massive advantage if you don't have a big marketing budget up front. So, the big question, Amazon or Flipkart? Which one should you choose? Well, it turns out the smartest move is not to choose at all. The data shows that sellers who use both platforms actually earn up to 23% more revenue. It creates an ecosystem for your brand, and you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. All right, you're official, you're on the marketplaces, maybe you're even making some sales. Now comes the real test, creating sustainable growth. And this part is less about quick tactics and much more about financial discipline and having the right long-term mindset.
I want you to really let this sink in. It's a powerful business principle. For the first 999 days, that's roughly 3 years, your job is to reinvest every single rupee of profit right back into the business. You pay yourself just enough to live on, and that's it. This is how you build a really strong, self-funding company that can scale without needing to beg for money.
So what does that actually look like in a budget? Well, something like this. You see that? Only 10% goes to you, the founder. The vast majority, a whopping 70%, goes straight back into buying more inventory and funding other growth projects, with the last 20% for marketing. This is the engine that will compound your growth over time.
And look, all the strategy in the world won't matter if you don't have the right mindset. You have to think in years, not months. You have to focus on building a brand people trust, not just being the cheapest option. You have to create that ecosystem we talked about across multiple platforms. And maybe most important of all, you have to have confidence. Self-doubt will kill your business faster than any competitor ever could.
And there you have it. We've walked through the entire roadmap, from finding that perfect niche, getting your legal house in order, choosing where to sell, and adopting the mindset you need to win in the long run. There's really only one thing left to do.
Because all this information is great, but it's action that builds a business. You literally have the blueprint right in front of you. The only question left is, what's your first step going to be? Thanks for tuning in.